Nick Cannon? Motherfucking Masked Singer, goofy cheese dick Nick Cannon from San Diego? Like, fuck you, man. Hello, everyone on podcast apps or YouTube or wherever you're listening or watching. Thank you so much. This is Saturday, June 18th, and this is the Weekly Apocalypse with your host and probably soon-to-be dead human being along with everyone else in our species, Mo Mandel. Let's go through the week, and let's let the apocalypse begin. Actually, it's already begun. We're knee-deep into it, guys. This is what it feels like when you're sitting there watching it burn. Let's start out with the story that I've been the most fixated on this week, the Nick Cannon anti-Semitism story. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but Nick Cannon, who, I pretty much know is just like a grade C celebrity. Like, to me, I think that's a fair way to put it. Like, he's not an actor anyone really respects, I don't think. He's not an artist musically that anyone respects. And, I mean, he's like a joke of a rapper, I think. He's not a stand-up comedian anyone respects. He's kind of just like this guy. He's like Ryan Seacrest, I guess. He's just like a famous guy. But he's not like Ryan Seacrest, because Ryan Seacrest never has tried to do anything else. He's just been like, I'm handsome, and I'm a host. It's not like, and now I'm going to be a drummer. I'm going to put out a punk album. There's never like a Ryan Seacrest fucking vanity project. It's not like a Ryan Seacrest mystery novel that fails. But Nick Cannon's been a guy who showed up in Hollywood, when I was a kid, basically, or college or whatever, I don't know, and he came out with Drumline, and that was a movie, and that was actually a pretty good movie, but then he just kind of fizzled as an actor, and then his rapping, he had like a hit song with, I think it was R. Kelly, kind of, was it Hotel, or was that, maybe that wasn't Hotel, what was it, After Party, I don't know, that kind of, his career went away, and then he married Mariah Carey, and that's why people talk to him, and now he's back. Or maybe he never left. Maybe I just wasn't hip to the Nick Cannon wagon. But now he's like a big, obviously a host of a show called The Masked Singer on Fox. He was a host of America's Got Talent, but got fired for saying homophobic stuff, I believe, in his stand-up, quote-unquote, stand-up special. I shouldn't say quote-unquote. I've never seen it. Just heard it sucked. So, who knows? A lot of people say my stand-up sucks. So what can I say? But anyway, he also is now a big podcaster. He's got a podcast called Cannon's Class, and he had on a guy named Professor Griff, who is like a rapper from the 80s, who used to be in Public Enemy, and then he got fired from Public Enemy in like the late 80s, early 90s, because apparently he said some stuff that was anti-Semitic, and believe it or not, Nick Cannon delved into some Jewish conspiracy stuff with old Griff on his podcast, and was subsequently in a lot of hot water. So let's just look at it from me as a Jew. I got to say how I feel when I see this kind of stuff, where I see these Jewish conspiracy theories, spoken about from other minority groups. Because believe it or not, Jews are, without a doubt, a minority group. I mean, we are a major minority group. I think there's like 13 million Jews in the world, something like that. There's not a lot. So when I see people in other minority groups propagating these theories of Jewish conspiracy and Jews control, the banks and the world, and we do all this horrible, evil stuff, it's like, man, it's disappointing. It hurts because it's not like a black Jewish thing. It's not anybody this thing. It's just a human thing. Why can't we learn lessons that we then give? Like okay, if you've been oppressed, why are you not then cognizant of what it feels like to be oppressed and thus less likely to oppress other people? And like I said, this is not a black Jewish thing, because there's plenty of Jewish people who are prejudiced against all different other kinds of people. And there's plenty of, Native American tribes who were being persecuted by white people, and they also persecuted other Native American tribes. It's just a sad human thing that we cannot seem to just collectively learn, hey, this fucking sucks. Let's not do it to other people. Let's not, we know. So anyway, it's also kind of sad because, Nick Cannon, the way he was talking about this stuff, it seemed like he fucking believed it. It seemed like he believed it. And, fuck, man, I don't want to feel under attack from motherfucking Nick Cannon, It's like he's not a serious enough celebrity in my eyes. I don't know who, what I mean? Like if Idris Elba came out with some shit, I'd be like, well, fucking Idris Elba is kind of a badass. So, if he wants to go on the attack, that sucks, but it's Idris fucking Elba, from The Wire. It's Luther. Nick Cannon? Motherfucking Mass Singer, goofy cheese dick Nick Cannon from San Diego? Like, fuck you, man. Then I was thinking, this must be like how it felt for black people when Kramer said the N-word. You're like, Kramer? Fucking Kramer? I gotta take this shit from that goofy motherfucker? Like, that's how I feel with Nick Cannon being anti-Semitic. It's like, that guy? The super likable, just kind of fun, don't, who gives a shit about him guy? That guy? That's who I gotta fucking... Like Nick Cannon, who I figured in 10 years was going to be like Screech from Saved by the Bell. That guy? He's the guy? So anyway, it hurt my soul, And one of the other things that Nick Cannon and this guy Griff were saying was that Jews, this is this whole area of conspiracy theory or whatever that I've never heard before, but, saying that Jews stole being Jewish from the original Jews who were the African Jews. And look, clearly everyone who was around during those biblical days in Africa, they didn't look like me. There's no doubt about it. So that goes for everybody, But here's the deal. If it goes for everybody, then it also goes for the people who were enslaving Jews. So if you want to, play that card out, which I agree. I mean, they weren't fucking Ashkenazi white Jews like me. But then you kind of got to also accept that probably, if everybody looked like that, then everybody looked like that. And so I'm just saying, that's an interesting road if you want to go down to it. But he was saying, Jews today stole being Jewish from African Jews. Hey, guys, and I'm not talking about guys because I'm talking to Nick Cannon and Griff. I don't want to make this like they feel this way. I'm saying these two guys, right? This is not a cultural thing as far as I know. This is these two guys' theory. Anyone can go be Jewish, okay? Buy the fucking Torah on Amazon, eat a bagel, bam, you're as Jewish as I am. All right? There is no secretive Jewish society that you're not being allowed into, okay? It's just like any other religion that people pretty much don't give a fuck about. Guys like me say, I'm Jewish, and half the time I don't even believe in God, and I don't even know what the fuck I believe. So that's the reality. There is nothing you're being left out of. Nothing got stolen from you. You can go do it. Now, sure, there was plenty of time when Jews didn't let anybody convert into the religion. But guess what? You could just still be, like, a religion is just a belief system. You could just believe whatever the fuck you want, and you could say, you guys are Jews, you won't let us convert? Great, we're Jews. Go do it. And now Jews will let anybody convert, and it's completely fine. And by the way, little speaking out for my people here, I like the idea that we didn't let anyone convert in, as opposed to other religions that went around the world beating the shit out of indigenous tribes and forcing them to believe. I respect more, hey, this is our shit, and we're going to believe what we want, as opposed to fucking believe what we want, or we're going to rape and kill you guys. I'm not saying either are the right way, but out of the two, I like the more passive approach. So that hurt my soul. It hurt my soul a lot. Nick has since apologized, and let me see if I can pull up Nick Cannon's apology, because it seemed very sincere, and, I'm not a cancel culture guy. So if Nick Cannon truly believes this, this new way of thinking about Judaism and everything, then great. Then he shouldn't be canceled. And by the way, he wasn't canceled. Viacom fired him because he refused to apologize. And then he did apologize, and Fox said he's still going to be the host of The Masked Singer because, for whatever reason, that's such an enormous hit show, and they probably don't want to fuck it up. But look, if he did apologize, then I guess in this world, then he should be able to keep his job, I would say. As long as he really means it, and only time will tell. But here's the thing. Nick Cannon apologized for something, a deep-seated conspiracy theory that he seemed to fully believe, right? That he had said like a week ago. 3 days later, he apologizes and he gets to keep his job, right? There are people out there who are getting fired for shit they said 30 years ago, apologizing and still getting fired. So there's a huge amount of hypocrisy in that, but I think this is just sort of the where society's at, and it's going to work itself out. But here's Nick's apology, right? First and foremost, I extend my deepest and most sincere apologies to my Jewish sisters and brothers for the hurtful, divisive words that came out of my mouth during my interview with Richard Griffin, Professor Griff. They reinforce the worst stereotypes of a proud and magnificent people, and I feel ashamed of the uninformed and naive place that these words came from. The video of this interview has been removed. While the Jewish experience encompasses more than 5,000 years, and there is so much I have yet to learn, I have at least had a minor history lesson over the past few days, and I have to say it was eye-opening would be a vast understatement. I want to express my gratitude to the rabbis, community leaders, yada, yada. So he said all the good stuff, man, and if he really believes it, and I've heard from people that Nick Cannon is a good guy, so look, I'm willing to accept apologies. I've said plenty of shit in my life and on stage that I'm totally ashamed of and I don't believe. And even though I never say anything out of, even when I was in that kind of stage as a comedian, I never would say anything out of malice. It was just out of like shock value, hacky jokes. You know, it was never out of like an actual belief. I never felt that way, but I still said some shit that I'm like, I wouldn't say that now. I'm kind of ashamed that I thought it was worth saying something like that to get a laugh. You know what I mean? I'm ashamed as a human and as an artist, which I'm probably not, but I'll say that. So anyway, Nick Cannon, there it is. I hope it's sincere. And I tweeted at him, not that he gives a fuck or needs my approval of anything, but I said, look, man, if this is how you really feel, why don't you have that rabbi on your podcast so that other people in your, listening audience on your platform, fans of yours, can hear this? Because he said today, he was tweeting like, man, first I apologize because I hurt the Jewish community, which killed me to my soul to think that I had, hurt a community. And now I have, his words, I think, was something like he said, now my community is attacking me for apologizing. And I was like, well, then, have that rabbi on your podcast because maybe this is a chance for like just, I don't know, bridge building, growth. I don't really know. I mean, in my experience, I don't know who is anti-Semitic and who's not anti-Semitic, All I know is seemingly it's a pretty widespread thing. It's kind of like Coca-Cola or Pepsi. A lot of people enjoy it. Speaking of Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and then we're off Jew stuff, I promise. Did you know there was a time, I just learned this, that Pepsi and Coca-Cola would not sell in Israel because a lot of the countries around there in the Middle East claim that they wouldn't do business with Coke or Pepsi if they would sell to Israel. So there actually wasn't any Coke or Pepsi in Israel. Well, at the same time, there's also a lot of rumors that the Jews control Pepsi and Coke and that it all goes to the Jewish Mossad conspiracy reptilian society. All right, anyway, let's move on. So, Nick Cannon, I hope you changed your mind. I hope you've seen the light, the lights of the Hanukkah menorah, and I hope we can all just love each other because hatred against any group is hatred against all groups. And after speaking with my dad last night, who, is the most unemotionally moved kind of person I know when it comes to all this stuff, just that was his main, living through being Jewish in New York in the 50s and going to school in Tennessee and being sandbagged by anti-Semitic professors who wrote like negative reviews about Jewish students and all kinds of shit I can go into in detail. He was like, look, man, hatred is everywhere. Hatred is everyone's heart, and we all just have to work on loving everyone, and that's basically the story of Hanukkah. Okay, moving on. There was an article where Walmart now is ordering a mask in all of their stores. And people are fucking losing their shit because, it's fucking Walmart, man. It's as synonymous as America's apple pie, and people want their freedom. I'm playing a... There's some woman screaming. This is a video I found on the internet today of a woman screaming about having to wear a mask in Walmart. So... another sign of the apocalypse is all this crazy shit about people not wanting to wear masks. And look, I know plenty of people online or whatever are like, oh, you shouldn't have to, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to fucking say. Not wearing a mask it's not worth the risk, okay? It's like not believing in God, okay? Because, see, here's the thing. If you believe that masks protect you, that's like believing that God exists. If you're wrong, big fucking deal. You wasted a couple Sundays or Saturdays or wherever you pray to God, and you walked around with a mask for about 6 months. No big deal. You were wrong. But if they do protect you and God does exist and you're like, fuck you, mask, I don't believe in God, well, now you're fucked, okay? So masks are like believing in God. If it's not true, no harm, no foul. If it is true, well, hey, you get saved because you fucking believed in the shit. So I don't know why it's such a big deal. And I can just tell you from my honest experience, my fiance is a doctor. She knows a lot of other doctors. And she is talking to them back east. I'm in Portland. She's talking to them back east. And they're saying the shit's fucked up in some places, you know? Back east, by that I should clarify, Florida. So they're in Florida specifically, the dingle-dangle of America there. Great state, though. I love Florida. Just kind of looks like a dick or whatever. And they're saying the shit's real fucked up, you know? And there's plenty of ICUs that are overdone. But anyway, sticking with Walmart, I think since Walmart is, not letting in anyone with a mask, how about Walmart just starts letting in, or being more selective with who they let in general? Here's a couple thoughts. How about if you're so fat or body positive, whatever your term is, that you have to be on a motorized cart, you don't get to go down the dessert aisle in Walmart. How about that? If you're so large that you can't walk around, you have to be on a motorized cart due to your weight, you don't get to go down like the cookie aisle, the snack aisle, or the ice cream aisle. How about that? That's the rule. You have to wear a mask, and you got to go down the certain aisles. Like if you those motorized carts for the large people, that should only go down certain aisles. There should be like magnets. So if you try to go down this aisle, it stops. Try to go down the lettuce aisle, zooms you right down there. And how about no more sweatpants in Walmart? Let's get rid of that. There's a lot of problems in Walmart. How about no Confederate flag gear worn into Walmart? There's a lot of things that I think Walmart could kind of step it up. And this is not an attack on people who shop at Walmart, because I shop at Walmart. It's an attack on certain people who shop at Walmart, okay? This is not a classist, elitist thing. This is a certain people thing. And I think, we could just clean it up a bit. We could just clean it up, Let's clean it up. Okay, next sign of the apocalypse. This one hits pretty close to home. I've been in Oregon. I've been in Portland, Oregon with my fiance where she lives ever since this COVID bullshit started. And I was reading today, Oregon's pretty fucked up right now, okay? Portland is where I am. Just to give you an example, the other day I had to go to the bank to deposit like a $13 residual check from a Happy Endings episode I did in 2011. And I went to the bank downtown Portland where all these riots and fucking shit are going on. And they're going on, right? Like, I'm not getting involved with them, but I'm hearing helicopters all night. Fucking, they're flying around, It's fucking, reminds me of a rap song by another guy who apparently has a Jewish conspiracy mind, Ice Cube. Apparently a huge anti-Semite. He has a song that I used to love called Ghetto Bird. Talking about, helicopters going around the ghetto and stuff. It's kind of weird. I always think about that song now because I just, out the window, I just hear fucking helicopters all the time. Anyway, so I went downtown to deposit the check, and I biked down there. I had my bike helmet, and I had a mask. So, I couldn't have looked more like I was going to rob a bank. I mean, I look like you could never walk into a bank wearing a mask that covers your whole face and a fucking bike helmet. But in today's day and age, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, yeah, that's what you do. But I got to the door of the bank, and it was locked, and then there was a guy there who had to come. He asked me what I wanted. I told him I wanted to go in there. He unlocked it, let me come in. Had nothing to do with the bike mask or the helmet. Apparently, downtown Portland at the banks now, or at least this bank, they have it locked because there's so much fucking stuff going on down there. And so he let me in, and no one asked me to take off the mask or the helmet the whole time I was there, which I thought was fucking crazy. But anyway, it's pretty some scary shit going on. So the Oregon governor has announced that there's a blatant abuse of power by the federal police who are sweeping protesters off the streets in Portland. So to be clear, they are charging that federal officers from departments that they aren't even really sure what they are. If they're like the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, quasi-military officers in fatigues, and there's videos of it, sweeping up protesters, grabbing them, coming out of buildings, pulling them, and fucking taking them off. It's some fucking crazy third world country type government coup military shit. I mean, it really is fucking crazy. You should look at it online. It's really nuts. And it just like when the governor of Oregon, when the governor of a state is saying, yo, federal government, don't come into my state and take my people off the street, like without even telling us who the fuck you are. That's insane. Like, that's the country we live in, where there's such a non-communication or whatever going on that they are literally, the federal government is just coming into the states and just doing whatever the fuck they want to do. I mean, if that doesn't scare you, then then I understand why you're not scared of the coronavirus, because you're a brave person. You should check it out. It's fucking nuts. And at the same time, I want to say, Oregon, Portland, fucking handle these protests. It's crazy. I mean, there's so much fucking just vandalism and stuff going on. There's trying to create another one of those Seattle, free zones. It's like, I don't know what the answer is, but it's definitely not let people fucking go nuts and do whatever the fuck they want in the city. It should be Oregon police. It should be Oregon's and, state troopers, whatever, who are dealing with the shit. It should not be secret federal agents snooping in there like the fucking, stormtroopers. But they got to deal with it because it's pretty fucking out of control as far as I can see. I don't know what the answer is. I don't believe that it is giving the police department just less money. I think there needs to be a major overhaul on how this all works. But if I can understand it, right now when I walk outside in Portland, there's homeless people, homeless tents everywhere in our neighborhood. There is vandalism. They're having to lock banks because they're scared of fucking, just people coming in there. There's helicopters in the sky constantly. And so giving the police department less money, it's hard for me to understand how any of that gets anything less than worse. Especially if police officers are already undertrained. They don't have enough fucking body cameras. They don't have enough backup, so they're scared, and that's why they're, jumping to their guns when they shouldn't be and jumping to violence when they shouldn't be. I don't understand how less money helps any of that, but in fairness, I haven't really looked a lot into what defund the police really means, so it must mean something more than just let's have less cops out there. It can't just mean that, because that doesn't make any sense. But another story I saw on CNN that was another kind of apocalyptic tale involving the police is a cop in Hawaii. This is really fucking sick. And this is the kind of shit where you're just like, God damn, what is wrong with people? What the fuck is wrong with people? This cop in Hawaii is going to jail for, I think, 3 or 4 years because he forced a homeless man to lick a public urinal. Apparently, he was dealing with him in the purposes of his job. And just to fuck with, let's see, okay, this guy's name is Rabago or something. And another officer responded to a nuisance complaint in January 2018 when they found a homeless man in a stall in a public restroom. Then, with another officer standing in the doorway of the bathroom, Rabago, in an aggressive tone, told the man that he could only avoid arrest if he licked the urinal in the bathroom. The homeless man then reluctantly knelt before the urinal and licked the urinal. Then the cop allowed the man to gather his possessions and leave the bathroom. That is so unbelievably fucked. It's just mind-bogglingly fucked that a guy could force a homeless dude who's already, his life is in shambles clearly, force him to humiliate himself like that, to blackmail him out of not having to be arrested. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how people do things like that and still don't stick a gun in their mouth. I don't understand how. It's just so sick and fucked up. And Probably not the story the police were looking for right now. Probably not the story the police were looking for. I don't know what to say about that. Like, I don't know how you screen psychopaths and keep them off the police department. Because, I mean, there's so many good cops, and there's just like, look, cops risk their fucking lives in ways that other people don't. So swearing off the police and saying all police are bad is just stupid. But then you see cops like this and all those other things that are far worse than that, and you're just like, well, fuck. I mean, what is the answer? I don't know. But made me think of like one heroic story I remember seeing firsthand of the police. One time I was at the Comedy Store hanging out, and these two dudes got in an argument in the back, and we were watching them kind of get an argument, and they were going to get in a fist fight, we thought. And then one of the guys goes to his trunk, and he pulls out a gun, what we think is a gun, a big flash of metal, right? So everyone like freaks out, and we run around to the other side of the Comedy Store, and we like, call the police, there's a gun, right? And then the fucking police, the LAPD shows up like within like 30 seconds, and it's just like right in front of the Comedy Store, and this big corn-fed dude just gets out casually, just walks, looks like a high school football coach, just with a shotgun, just as he's walking in, walks in there, and was like, turned out it wasn't a gun. Turned out the guy had a baseball bat, and luckily, whatever, no one got shot that night and nothing happened. But it was just like bizarre to me that like this dude is so brave, this cop, that he gets a call that people are fighting, at least one of them has a gun, and he's just like, all right, time to check in before my lunch break, get my shotgun, and just go in there and face whatever the fuck comes. That's bravery, and a cop like that, assuming he's a good guy, is someone you want to be able to call, okay? So if there's a way to work on the system, figure out the system, but still have someone you could call, a stranger, willing to show up to protect lives in 30 seconds, that's someone you want. You know what I mean? That is something we need, because I'll tell you this, all the comedians there, no matter how into MMA these stand-up comedians seem to be, especially the guys who hang out at the Comedy Store, which I love, they weren't trying to get involved and help do anything. No, they may have been listening to Rogan's podcast talking about MMA, but they weren't fucking getting in there and taking it apart. In fairness, Rogan wasn't there, and he might actually legitimately be a badass. Maybe he would have had his hunting bow, taken somebody out, cooked them next to some elk meat. I don't know. That remains to be seen. So anyway, scumbag, apocalyptic piece of shit cop there. And, yeah, dude, like, I don't know. Don't make people lick urinals, You should be able to go through your life pretty easily without making anyone lick a urinal, unless they're like trying to join your frat or something. Then I could see how you'd make them lick a urinal, or, I guess there's a few situations where I would let someone do that. But don't do it to just some homeless guy who's trying to take a shit. You know what I mean? Like, some guy's trying to take a shit, just let the dude shit. You know what I mean? Like, that dude is just trying to shit. Let the dude shit. I saw another story, apocalyptically horrible, on Yahoo. This is about a guy in Las Vegas. So twisted and fucked up. Okay, before I get into this story, beyond just this story being a sign of the apocalypse, social media and live streaming fucking serious shit, that is like the most unhuman, fucked up thing that people are doing, right? You see somebody getting hurt, and someone immediately pulls out their fucking cell phone and live streams it, right? Anything happening, people immediately live streaming. Life is not reality TV, okay? Life is just fucking life, and you shouldn't be trivializing it by filming shit all the time, okay? Sometimes life is meaningful and tragic, and you just need to let it exist as life, or even better, interact with that piece of life and make it better, as opposed to just filming it in the most incredibly cynical way, hoping to get some likes and clicks and fucking, bottled water sponsorship deals on Instagram or whatever the fuck people like me who have actual social media followings are cashing in on. So anyway, this story, a man in Las Vegas was walking by a hospital, right? A guy named Keontae Jones, 28, was walking by a hospital. And a man walks by who, according to his family, is mentally ill. A 55-year-old man, homeless man named Larry Connor. And apparently he's mentally ill, according to his family. He asks this guy, Keontae, for money. Keontae says, he asks him for six. Keontae says, if you do a backflip, I'll give you $6. And this guy, not that anyone I know can do a backflip. Rest in peace, Siddiqui Fuller, great comedian, passed away a few years ago. He's the only guy I knew who could do a backflip. This guy, Larry Connor, 55, homeless, he doesn't look like he could do a backflip. He looks like he would have a hard time running, even a mile. Like, he's not in great shape, as most homeless people are not, and guys who are 55 are not, generally. So that's not a slight against him at all. I'm just saying, if you look at him, the first thing you're thinking is, with all due respect to Larry and his family, with all due respect, not an insult, doesn't look like he could do a backflip, And so the reason I say that is to indict this guy, Keontae Jones. He knew fucking full well this dude was not going to be able to do a backflip. But he goaded him into it on live, laughing. This fucking poor guy, this poor man, tries to do a backflip, lands on his neck, breaks his neck, and for 10 minutes, apparently, according to this article, this guy Keontae is still filming the shit, filming it, laughing. People are like, we got to call the people. He's like, you don't got to call anybody. I watched the video. It's horrifying. It is, I feel like I almost started crying watching this. This poor guy, Larry, tries to jump. You see, he's just like a fucking guy. He's just one of those guys. He's just, he's just going through life, He's just one of those guys that's going through life. There's $6. He wants $6. He's going to try to do it. Snaps his neck and then dies a few days later, whatever. It's incredibly horrible. It's utterly despicable and sad, and just like, rest in peace, Larry Connor. Go fuck yourself, Keontae Jones. Larry Connor, our hearts and prayers are with you. And Keontae Jones, you're a fucking huge piece of shit. So I'll just say that. Check it out online if you want. But that kind of dehumanization, man, that's where the fucking apocalypse really starts kicking in. We don't give a shit about each other, and we just start being like, oh, this is a way for me to, profit or, get some laughs or some cheap bullshit. I'm going to make this. I'm not going to care if this guy gets hurt because, he obviously didn't think he was going to die, but he knew he was going to humiliate himself at the very least. So at the very least, you're going to ask a homeless dude who's clearly fucking a little out of his mind who's leaving a hospital, by the way, already leaving a hospital. You're going to try to profit off him when all he wants is money for, like, food or whatever. It's just, like, insane. You're like, I'd like to, it's just truly disgusting. All right. Here's another apocalyptic story that came out this week, and this story is gross, graphic, and also people I, for some reason, very much enjoy are terrible criminals, because we watch a lot of these cold case files or hear these murder podcasts and we hear about these like great criminal masterminds. But a fun group to learn about and read about is people who seemingly have never heard of Law and Order or watched a CSI Miami episode in their entire lives. They have no conception of how the law works, of how you should operate to not be arrested right away. It's unbelievable. So this guy, there's a 21-year-old personal assistant is charged with second-degree murder for allegedly killing and partially decapitating his 33-year-old entrepreneurial boss because the boss caught him embezzling tens of thousands of dollars. So first of all, don't kill a dude because you got caught stealing tens of thousands of dollars, okay? That's not enough dollars. And this was in New York, so that's not going to go far. Tens of thousands of dollars in Idaho, maybe you kill a dude. Maybe you cut his ankle a little bit with a penknife. Don't fucking kill a guy to get out of pain, because tens of thousands of dollars. It's even crazier than that, though, right? So this guy, this dude, Tyrese Devon Haspel, was arrested and charged with the grisly murder of his 33-year-old boss. What the fuck is his name? Some guy, his last name is Salah. His last name is Fahim Salah. Anyway, so apparently Fahim Salah caught Tyrese Devon Haspel embezzling money, right? So as the nicest boss ever, he said, look, you don't have to go to jail. I'm not going to report you, but you have to pay me back. So they already had a thing going on where he was going to pay him back. For some reason, that wasn't enough. So this dude, this is where he just shows you just like this guy was not thinking a lot about how to get away with this crime. Okay? First of all, he used his credit card his own credit card to go to Home Depot, buy a power saw and cleaning products after the murder, right? He used his credit card. You just stole tens of thousands of dollars. You should have some fucking cash, right? Don't use your fucking credit card. Then he used that credit card to return to the dude's apartment who he just killed. Come on, man. Just fucking, watch one episode of a true crime fucking show, one episode of Law & Order. These things are obvious. Watch Castle, which I was on in 2010, I think. It's obvious, don't kill people, don't embezzle money, but if you do, fucking use your head a little bit, right? So, pretty brutal. He followed the guy into his apartment, which they believe it's him. He's in a mask. Somebody's in a mask. I'm not going to say he's in a mask. Allegedly, he's in a mask. Follows the guy into the elevator, hits him with a taser, pulls him in, is partially decapitating his body in his apartment after he kills him when the guy's sister comes up. So he bailed out the fire escape, allegedly. And so when the sister came in there, her brother was partially sawed up and put in plastic bags. It's just crazy, man. I mean, the guy wasn't going to make you go to jail. I mean, this is like the best thing ever. I feel like one time somebody backed into me and I didn't make them call their insurance. I just let them pay me. And I feel like I did them a huge solid. This guy could have sent you to jail. To fucking jail, man. Don't do that. Anyway, so the assistant from hell makes me glad that I am too poor and unsuccessful to have an assistant. So at least I know if anyone kills me and cuts me up, it will be my fiance, the surgeon, who will be able to do it and make it look like an accident. All right. Another story I saw, and this is like a general one, and I don't want to go too far into the racial stuff of this, but Chicago's Mayor Lori Lightfoot has called Kaylee McKinney Karen in a tweet. Kaylee McKinney, whatever. She's that really attractive blonde girl who's Trump's new lying machine. He always has somebody up there who has to lie to him in front of the press, and she's just a little blonde. She's like a Hitler wet dream kind of gal. She is the opposite of the Jewish conspiracy. She's the holy white princess of anti-Semites' dreams, and she lies like shit. She's fucking scum, like all these people who just go up there and lie to their teeth and scum. So I have no problem with Lori Lightfoot, who I like, who's the mayor of Chicago. I like Lori. I don't think Chicago's doing great, but I like Lori. I don't know. I'm not blaming her for that necessarily. But anyway, I don't mind her shit talking this fucking little line machine. But the way she did it, she said, hey, this is her tweet. She said, hey, Karen, watch your mouth. She called her a Karen. And I've made little, videos on my Instagram, The Real Mo Mandel, about Karens and fuck Karens. And yeah, fuck Karens, of course. I do think it's a little weird, though. I was talking to somebody about this. We have essentially made it okay to call it, Karen is now a racial slur, essentially, for a certain type of white woman, right? It's kind of it's fun to use it, the Karen, and I get it. I know who they're talking about, but at the same time, I thought the whole thing we're trying to do is get away from these generalizations, I mean, I know a guy whose wife's named Karen, and she's thinking about changing her name because it's just humiliating. She doesn't want to be associated with that, but isn't that kind of fucked up? I mean, because we all know, if we all want to play the generalization game, we know certain types of people of all races that we could easily call a this or a that. We could just select some name from that group and be like, that's that person. pretty fucking racist and stereotyping to say, oh, she's a Karen and write it all off as she's like that woman of that race. Just saying, it's getting a little weird. It's a little weird that you're allowed to do that. I don't think it's helpful, but it is funny. It is funny, to be able to call someone a Karen. Like, I love seeing those videos where, like, some stupid white woman is, like, yelling at somebody, and then the other people are filming, like, oh, yeah, okay, Karen, and they're calling her Karen. And, like, it is fucking funny. I mean, it nails her. But it is kind of fucked up to think, like, what if you reverse that, and it's somebody just using some, like, just stock, name of somebody of a minority group? It's pretty fucking racist. Obviously, white people not being a minority group, certainly not white Jews not being a minority group. It's different, but it's still kind of something to think about. You know what I mean? Like if I was being an asshole to somebody, I wouldn't want somebody to call me like a Lance or something like that, even though I look like I could be called Lance or something. And I'd be like, dude, that's not, don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's, like, I might just be being an asshole because I'm Mo Mandel who can be an asshole. Like, I might not be indicative of my race specifically. Maybe just let me be the dick. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Just kind of interesting to think about. And we'll go into one more story here that's a positive. I want to end each apocalyptic podcast with an uplifting story of something to give us hope. And thank you guys for listening to the inaugural episode. Please do subscribe. I've been trying to figure out what I want to do a podcast about. I've done a bunch of different ones. I was trying to do one about action movies. What I realized is I don't really care about one particular topic enough to want to talk about it every week. I was talking to a friend of mine, Sam Tripoli, who was like, you just got to find something you want to talk about, and you just talk about it, And Sam's thing he likes to talk about is conspiracies, which I think are, for the most part, incredibly dangerous, and most of them completely full of shit. But I like Sam Tripoli. I like him as a comic. I like him as a human being. I like his podcast. People believe what they believe, and that shit's entertaining. I think some of it's dangerous again. I think some of it's fucking mostly stupid. But that's him. That's what he's doing, right? But there's nothing I really, and again, I love Sam. Big up to Sam. Listen to his podcast, A Tinfoil Hat. Tinfoil Hat is a good time. But my love of Sam aside, there's nothing I really want to talk about that much, like topic-wise. Like, there's no, like, I don't want to talk about music. I don't want to talk about movies. I don't want to talk about my relationship every week, right? But I realize most of what I do is get online, look at things, and get fucking pissed off and have emotions about it. So I figured that's what I should just talk about, because then at least it's different things each week. So, if you're going to look at the internet, I figured, and get angry and get worked up, at least put it into some sort of content, especially since stand-up doesn't exist anymore. And even if it does, let's be honest, I wasn't selling out comedy clubs before there was a fucking pandemic. I think it's going to be hard for me to sell tickets now. So anyway, that's where this came from. So please, let your friends know, subscribe, give it a good rating, YouTube, iTunes, all the places. And I'm going to keep doing this because I'm locked up at my fiance's house in Portland. I can't seem to perform now, and I need to vent. I need to get things off my chest. I'm writing a movie that I'm getting paid to write, so financially I got some money coming in. I got some TV projects I'm taking out, but I need my personal release kind of thing. So there you go. Let's close it out with some positivity. Let's close it out with a positive story of the week. The bad bitch of the week. That's what I'm calling it. This comes to us from Fox News, which I think is a little telling. And I don't mean to sound conservative because I'm definitely not. And I'm definitely more of a liberal. And I'll definitely 100% vote Democratic in this election because though I have problems with both sides, I have way more problems with the kind of very manipulative, very power, fucking Trumpian side that I see right now that I'm just not comfortable with. Biden, I don't know that I would even trust him to take care of my dog, but I think Trump would have a better chance of like cutting out. Like, here's where I'll put it with Trump and Biden. Biden, I wouldn't trust to care for my dog because I think maybe he wouldn't feed him or walk him. He'd forget. Trump, I think, would cut out my dog's kidneys and sell them on the black market. That's where my difference is between Trump and Biden. Biden, incapable. Trump, fucking evil. So I would rather have incapable, probably forgetful. He's probably not going to know where he is half the time, but he's certainly not going to be like Trump being like, let me just see how I can just fucking destroy everything. So I'm going to go for incompetent over evil, because Trump, unfortunately, is highly incompetent at being terrible. So that's where I'm coming from. Anyway, Fox News, though, what I was going to say, more often than not, you're going to see a positive story about Jews on Fox News than CNN. And that's an interesting thing. And fuck you, CNN, for letting that be the case. I love you, CNN, but CNN, a little more positive stories about Jews. If Fox News is writing about this story I'm about to tell you about, CNN, fuck you, but I love you. But, highlight this wonderful Jewish woman I'm about to tell you about. So there is a 99-year-old British Jewish woman who was a World War II veteran, okay? A veteran. Also, after World War II, her driver tried to assassinate her. He turned out to be a Nazi. So not only did she serve fighting the Nazis, after World War II, a fucking closet Nazi turned around and tried to kill her in her car. She survived that. She survived breast cancer, got coronavirus. They put her on, basically end of her life shit, told her to say goodbye to her, and then she beat coronavirus. Also, she was in a plane crash in the desert. Bedouin people saved her. She survived a fucking plane crash. So this woman is the bad bitch of the week, maybe the year. Her name is Joy Andrew, and she was in the Women's Auxiliary Air Force. Yeah, the Auxiliary Air Force, and served in Bomber Command. So God bless this woman. God bless her. She is a fucking badass, a champion of the power of the human. I'm not going to put any other definitions on that. Human spirit, and an example of possibly the apocalypse not having to happen if people like these kind of people exist. Unfortunately and tragically, she has dementia, so she really doesn't know why people are making a big deal about anything. But God bless you, Joy Andrew. I'm Mo Mandel. Assuming the world doesn't burn down and isn't destroyed in the next week, I'll be back with a new episode next Saturday. And, good luck. And hopefully we're all still alive.